For my backpacking trip this time, I chose once again to return to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. This time, I chose to go to the southeast part of the park. Originally, I was thinking of a location a little northwest of the Cataloochee Horse Camp, but it was closed due to bear activity. So instead, I chose the Beach Gap Hyatt Ridge Trail to campsite 44. The trailhead is located about 12 miles northeast of Cherokee and about 7 miles west of the Cataloochee campground. I chose this location for two main reasons. First, it was an area that was new to me. As with most of my backpacking trips the past couple of years, I like going places that I've not previously explored. Second was convenience. It was on the side of the Smokies closest to me. As you can see, there are two Beach Gap trails coming off the Straight Fork Balsam Mountain Road. I chose the left or westernmost one shown in red. You may have noticed that the ISO lines along the Beach Gap trail are somewhat tightly packed. As the information on the screen indicates, it starts just below 3,100 feet and ends up reaching nearly 5,150 feet. Now, if you subtract the starting elevation from 5150 and then add to it all the cumulative ups and downs along the way, it makes for a total of about 2,250 feet elevation gain to reach campsite 44. Not exactly spectacular, but steep enough to get my attention. From the intersection with the Hyatt Ridge Trail, there is little additional net change in elevation, thankfully. Okay. We are at this moment heading towards campsite 44. And now we have some interesting back roads. Gonna even hop on the Blue Ridge Parkway for a little while. There's nothing quite like the mental rest, the chance to be closer to your creator, than when you get out away from all the artificial and get truly into the more natural. It allows the soul to breathe, allows you to hear the still small voice more easily. What a great gift that He's given us the chance to do just that. Now we are back on pavement again. And back to dirt. I love the graveled back road entry points into the park. It holds the irresistible promise of a richer, more personal experience, not possible in the better known, more heavily trafficked portions of the park. As I crossed the boundary into the Great Smoky Mountains National Park on Straight Fork Road, running parallel to it was the beautiful cascading Straight Fork or Raven Fork Creek. Okay, we are at the trailhead for Beach Gap Trail. Took a while to get here and a lot of back roads, as you saw. Some gravel ones to get here, but very cool. A little more humid and a little more buggy. Not bad. But this is where we're getting ready to start. As you can see, we have a nice little pull-out here right next to the trailhead. And we shall see that tomorrow, hopefully noonish. Now, let's take a look at where we're heading. All right. As you can see, it's about 2.9 miles from this point up to Hyatt Ridge Trail. And of course, another 0.9 once we get there to reach campsite 44. That looks like it ought to be a nice trail. So far, anyway. Shouldn't have much in the way of deep water crossings, I hope. But in that eventuality, got everything in Ziplocs. Well, 3:03 p.m. Not too bad. Oh,
And we already have some wild hydrangeas.
I always loved the wild hydrangea with its dark green leaves. I've also come to love the intermediate wood fern with its really pretty bipinnate structure.
There we go, the Carolina Spring Beauty.
The Carolina Spring Beauty is indeed one of my favorites, one of the earliest blooming spring flowers, and I love the way that touch of purple in such a light, bright flower. I'm not certain, but I believe this is some species of trillium, maybe like a wake robin after it's bloomed or something of that nature. While the Christmas fern doesn't have the bipinnate structure of the previous one we looked at, I do love that little spike at the base of the pinna. And of course, we can't forget the spores on the underneath side, a real sight for sore eyes. Even though it's white in the picture, I do believe this is the purple bluet. I love the tiny, delicate structure. And of course, our ever-present shelf fungi.
We just passed several examples. Indian cucumber. We also have a lot of partridge berry down there. I'll show you some photographs of that one. Okay, I just finished taking a bunch of still photos because I was too lazy to connect the Bluetooth and all that. And here you go.
I do love the fire pink. It's such a bright, contrasting color. And of course, the false Solomon seal, we saw plenty of those, and partridge berry that was rather plentiful. And finally, the shining club moss. And a bright example of the only invertebrate I did this trip. And on this one, I'm not quite sure, but I did like that triangular shape at the terminus of the plant.
I've been seeing what looks like a number of the false Solomon seal, if I'm recalling that correctly. They have the blooms, little berries that are all at the terminus. Oh, here's a much better picture of the wild hydrangea. And of course the bear corn or squaw root, or take a choice on that one.
These were everywhere along the trail. And this next one here, the Indian pipe flower, was really cool to see. They are a non-photosynthetic plant that usually lives in association with fungi and gets their nutrition from the fungi, so they don't need to be photosynthetic. Really interesting look to them, though.
Well, forgot with such a quick ascent, I'm sliding to the back of my shoes because I didn't tighten them enough, so I gotta be careful of blisters now. Good news is, about 3/4 of a mile, maybe a little less, till I intersect the Hyatt Ridge Trail. And that is good. What's not as good is just started to sprinkle some, so I'm crossing my fingers it doesn't do more than that. I'd really rather avoid the poncho if I could. Meanwhile, just a little bit of uphill fun left to go.
I really do like the ramp. Such a beautiful dark green leaf at the base and such a starburst of white at the top.
Well, we're probably more like about 1,400 feet from the intersection with Hyatt Ridge Trail, and most of our elevation gain. Turns out that the 2,400 foot elevation gain, 2,100, maybe 2,200 of it, is already behind me. Well, maybe only 2,000, but that's a lot in a short amount of time. Or at least it can seem like a lot. Meanwhile, do one of these little power gel thingies. Actually, power jaw, hammer jaw, there's a whole bunch of names out there. But one of these, and things we'll be looking up. I did notice at the lower elevations there seem to be a lot of the, what I believe are the false Solomon seal. A lot of partridge berry.
Those were two of the more prominent species I saw. The new favorite of mine, it's Carolina bugbane or false bugbane. So light and delicate, it's almost like looking at a little snow flurry, that burst of white. And finally, the true Solomon seal, just Solomon seal, that biflorum, shows you those pairs of flowers of buds hanging all along the stem underneath, instead of bunched at the end like the false Solomon seal.
Trees, flora change as you get higher elevation. Here, sorry. We should be getting pretty close to the Hyatt Ridge Trail. Almost. Oh, in fact, I think I see it. Yep. There we go. And there's the alarm I set. Proximity alarm I set for Hyatt Ridge Trail. Sure enough. Back to McKay, or Benton McKay Trail, huh? Okay, Hyatt Ridge. And a little creek that way, and 44, 0.9 that way. Sorry, I've not done a whole lot of video on the way up. That 2,000 plus straight up doesn't leave much enthusiasm left for stopping and turning on the gimbal, turning on the phone, getting in the sync every single time. Alright, there's the alarm saying that I've left it. What are these? Looks like a eastern hemlock, maybe?
Always loved the eastern hemlock. It is such a beautiful deep green.
Well, let's go onward and upward. Although I'm crossing my fingers that most of the upward is over. I'm just too chicken to look at my GPS on it to find out. Oh no, here's a nice one. Couldn't ask for something any more pretty than that. Looks like we got some blackberry here. Well now, here's a pleasant little knoll. I think it's intermediate mountain fern. Oh, how pretty. This is a unique phenomenon. We are heading down. I think I just confused my feet and my blisters. They don't know what to expect.
By this point, I'm hiking along a ridge towards campsite 44, steeply downhill on both sides. Very, very pretty view, and very pleasant breeze as well. Some parts of the trail like this were very thickly forested, and it was dark all around with just a gentle light right along the trail. Beautiful, just like a perfect painting.
Okay, we just surprised something large. I have no idea what species, just saw something large and longer trailing feathers. Nope, I was hoping I'd come across a better view where they went up into the trees, but they are long gone in this stuff. Oh well. At least this stuff is pretty to walk through. Okay. We should be getting close. I see bear lines, or pack lines for the haul up the packs, whatever you want to call them. I see them. This sure looks like it's got to be the site, but I do not see anything sticking out of the ground saying 44 on it. Huh. Let's head down to the main section here. Perhaps there will be something down here. Nope. Oh, this is definitely the site. As you can see, it's a nice little protected little shallow little sink. Nice place for a bonfire. So come down here to do the fire. I don't see a sign up here, but let's see here. Looks like that's what it's saying for the campsite. We're there. Okay, got here about 6:15, 6:30, something like that, and tried to send a message out on the GPS, but not clear enough sky, as you can see, or you will see in a moment. It is very socked in tree-wise. I think I see where I'm going to have to go to do that. Okay, I'm going to take a quick peek around here, and then probably get food going so I can get to bed by the time it gets dark. I'd like to get up early. I'm going to try and see if I can find the spring real quick, though. I think that would just a little bit. Fortunately, I'll have my little friend to help me. Now, for this one, like I mentioned, it's pretty socked in trees, in terms of trees, so that explains GPS. Actually, I think it's back on the other side of camp. Because the water's running downhill, and springs kind of are at the top. So, I think it's over there by the trees where I'm heading anyway. For the opening in the trees there, where I'm heading to send out my GPS message. We'll see what turns up here. Okay, we have our handy dandy little alcohol stove, our Dutchware titanium pot, and some couscous. Couscous is a great, inexpensive meal. It's not too huge, and it costs like $1 or something at the store. You heat up boiling water, stir in the stuff, let it set 5 minutes, done. That's as good as some of those specialty things they make. but it works pretty well. And of course, that's the little flashing that I'm using to cover as a windbreak. That's just one of those little aluminum gutter seals that you pick up at Home Depot. Just a little thing to join them together. Just aluminum. I just bend it to where it fits just inside the pot. And inside of that is the little the itty bitty cat food that's been cleaned out. Denatured alcohol. There's your stove, light as can be. So hopefully that'll be ready. We'll have some couscous. Then contemplate for a little bit and go to bed early. Probably too damp, but it can't hurt to try. See if I can get my little. Meanwhile, we'll put my little stove away, my alcohol stove with this little.
Here I'm getting breakfast ready, and like any good Southerner, I brought along some instant grits. While waiting for the grits to cool, I thought I'd take a look at some of the interesting plants and scenes around camp. Unfortunately, I forgot to bring the correct patch cord that allowed me to use the shotgun mic you see on my camera on the phone that's recording the video. Anyway, at this point, I'm telling the viewer about the fact that I brought grits instead of oatmeal, which is, of course, vital information and has to be shared with the viewer. It also gave the grits time to cool down a little bit.
Okay, about 7:50, almost 8. Got a little more leisurely start than I intended, but that happens every single trip, so it's not exactly a surprise. I took my time packing up camp, and since I'm only using one cook pot, that means my drink has to be heated, made, consumed, then next amount of water put in, heated, and then in this case grits, made and consumed. So that stretched things out a little bit, and rinsing things out since I was just using my bottled water to do the rinsing. That takes a while to do that carefully. And I go off a good distance away from camp, from all that, so I can do it without any chance of leaving scent any more than I already do, or can help in camp. Well, everything's all packed up. Water on the fire. So, time to go. At least this time I won't have to worry about my heels as much. I forgot. When it's really steep ascent all the time, you're going to start scrubbing your heels, or at least I do. Okay, time to go. Quit procrastinating.
The maple leaf viburnum was a new one for me. Really pretty with that spritz of white with that broad green leaf with the three prongs. Flame azalea, of course, is always a favorite of mine. I just couldn't resist taking another picture of it on the way down. And of course, never can get tired of the fire pink. That's such stark, contrasty color. At this point, I'm still hiking along the ridge back towards the intersection of the Hyatt Ridge Trail and the Beach Gap Trail, while I will begin to really head downhill.
Well, the alarm just went off, the proximity alarm, so as you can see up ahead here, we've just come to the intersection where I start heading back down. Oh, I think it's the Beach Gap Trail. Back down to the car. Yep, here we are again. The Hyatt Ridge Trail we just came off of. And of course, we are going to head down the Beach Gap Trail, ending up at Straight Fork Road in 2.8 miles. Time to head on. Well, I've not been doing too much video recording on the way down since it's the same exact trip I took on the way up. I'm starting to run out of convenient overnight loops that I can do. I had to resort to doing it in and out for this one. But we are getting closer. You can hear the stream, or I don't know if you can, but I can hear the stream here, so I know I'm getting a bit closer. Much easier dealing with the downward.
Of course, we can't forget the Virginia spiderwort. It's such a beautiful, rich purple with that contrasting, brilliant yellow. Of course, we also had some more Solomon seal. I love the way that its species name, biflorum, shows you those pairs of flowers hanging down. And this last one here is I think it's a sweet shrub.
Okay, and there down below
is the Straight Fork or Ravens Fork Creek with the road next to it, and I believe about maybe 40 yards to the right is the pullout where my car is at.
we are almost there. I think the bridge is around the next corner.
The Smokies has such beautiful fungi. I'm not entirely certain of the species, but this one is very reminiscent of a giant turkey tail. And of course, no visit to the Smokies would be complete without seeing some of the rattlesnake plantain.
Well, there's the river and the road right beyond, so we are almost there. There we go. And so ends the Beach Gap Hyatt Ridge backpacking trip. And back to the car.